Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. And hello, if you're listening to this as a podcast. My name is Lala Angela Wang, your host of Range Woman, the variety show. I am so excited. Welcome to episode 1. So, this was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't actually make too many announcements on social media at all with this first live cast. And therefore, I am super, super excited. But I've also got yet another surprise for you guys. And I'm just going to bring him on.
Surprise!
Hello, Zoe. Zoe's watching. Yay!
Nice. Hey, Zoe.
Oh my God, I'm super, super excited. So this is a surprise for those of you who don't know. This is my partner in life and partner in crime, Mr. Scott Martin, aka the unapologetic Aussie.
Mm-hmm.
So you may be wondering, what is the deal? Whose podcast is this anyway? Well, it's mine. I just sounded like Borat. But we thought we'd do something fun for the first episode. So I am going to be interviewed by Scott, by
Yes,
the
you are.
unapologetic Aussie. And I have to say, I have no idea. I have no idea what is going on here.
No, you haven't been included in about anything.
Nope.
Unpredictably unpredictable as always.
Yep. And that's the way we like it as well.
Absolutely.
By the way, I'm just going to see because I can't actually see myself on my Facebook business page at the moment, which is interesting. Okay, let's just refresh it and see what we can find. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to share this. Dalla, I love technology. Done. That's that. The interview begin.
Righto. So this is funny because typically speaking on a podcast, you wouldn't normally have someone else interview you. It would normally be you interviewing someone else. However, we are not necessarily people for social propriety. We do things our own way. And as a result, we are switching things up a little bit today. So thank you for inviting me on today. And before I get started, I know that you are the preparer of the most incredible gourmet foods that some of the world has ever seen. I'm sure there's better, but it's probably over in the Arab Emirates somewhere for some Saudi Arabian prince. But I want to hear from you because you've got a real eye for food, and you used to have a catering business, I believe. So tell me, what's your favorite snack and why?
My absolutely favorite snack. Like if I can have anything right now. I'm going to be really greedy and say high tea. High tea is like my absolute favorite. You get a bit of everything. You get finger sandwiches, you get scones with jam and cream, and then you get the dessert on top. So yeah, high tea, definitely my absolute favorite.
So I want you to get more specific, because I know that with your clients, you ask them to get very specific about things, and you don't let them get away with just having broad answers for things that don't necessarily give a conclusive response that you're after. So you call yourself the inner child whisperer.
Yo.
So given that you are the inner child whisperer and you are in touch with your inner child, what's your inner child's favorite snack specifically? I can see the inner child coming out of your face right now.
It's funny. It's actually a very, very simple snack. I don't even know if you can get it in Australia. So it's a snack that I used to have. It's almost like it's a biscuit. It's like a milky biscuit, and it's like tiny little ones, almost like M&M size. And if
Okay.
you translate it into English, it's like a little mantou. Like mantou is like little bread dumpling that you buy, like steamed bread.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used to eat them, so I can suck on them, and then they would slowly dissolve with the saliva. Well, you had to ask.
I don't think that's a bread dumpling you're talking about.
There we go. I was hoping things like this would come a little bit later, but
No, it's now.
that's just the way how this household rules.
That's how the podcasts with me on them go. So your podcast is called Range Woman, the Variety Show. So I'm going to get right into it.
It's actually Range Woman.
Range Woman. Range. Wow. So
So by the way, if you never hang out with the two of us before, this is literally how we interact. in
welcome
real
to our
life.
world. Welcome
So
to
we're
our
like, oh, okay. Oh, come on.
Oh, yes.
We are
indeed.
behaving. This is like us on our best behavior.
Yeah, this is on a good day.
By the way, if you are watching, you can so commenting, even though we're streaming off StreamYard right now, you can commenting, and just like how Zoe interacts with us, we can so see you. And that's both on Facebook and on YouTube.
Yep, I can see all the comments here as well. So the cool thing about StreamYard is that with setups like this, we can stream across multiple platforms, and as all the comments come through, it's got like a little YouTube logo or a Facebook logo or a Twitch logo or a whatever platform logo that it is we're streaming on simultaneously. And yeah, we actually know where you're commenting from. We know. Absolutely. So Range Woman, the variety show. What is a range woman? Tell me. I would love you to
You're
elaborate
doing
on that.
well. So range woman, or you can be a range man as well. But to me, the definition of range is somebody who can juggle. I'm still trying to find a replacement word for juggle. I'm going to use flow.
I'm a range hood.
You don't want to be a range hood.
Why? Then I get to sniff all the delicious things that you cook.
Yeah, also suck all that. There you go.
Got me
So
on that one.
a range woman is definitely not a range hood. Okay, a range woman is a woman that can flow in between multiple projects or responsibilities or tasks really effectively, efficiently, happily, with ease and flow. And it's just like everything flows seamlessly.
Nice. I mean, I would argue that you could be a range hood, actually, given that I'm a debater.
I don't want to be a range hood.
You don't want to suck on my fat.
Range hood don't get to taste the food. I really do need to behave now.
I have a feeling that anyone watching right now is going to be cracking up while you're going, "Oh my god, this is so awkward." so
I did ask for it.
you did. So inner child Lala, what is your favorite childhood memory? Let's dig deep.
My favorite childhood memory was there's almost like a national park. I'm pretty sure it's a man-made park, just like the majority of parks in Asia. But they've got a lot of hills, and there's a lot of like coconut leaves. I don't know. They're just like big leaves that kids can sit on and slide down the hills. So that was my favorite childhood memory.
I'm just picturing you. God, I can't remember the name of it. It's like the gumnut babies that used to be like this childhood book that I remember, and it had like these little gumnut babies. I'm just picturing you like with a little gumnut hat and just a big gumnut lead and just sliding down the hill.
So much fun.
Because I've seen the baby photos of you, so I can actually envisage that baby wearing like a big gumnut on a leaf and just with this like cheeky face and making lots of noise because I hear you were a noisy kid.
I was noisy until a certain stage in my life. I was like, okay, maybe noisy doesn't serve me. Or I used to get told that I talk too much. So
Oh, that's not good. Well, someone I still remember a time when I was living at home with my parents when I was a young kid, and I wasn't even at school yet. And they took me over to the showground across the road where we had our local fair. You know, we had, I mean, it wasn't like the Easter show in Sydney or anything, but it had like the roller coaster rides and all the different stuff. And it was really, really, it was a small town affair. And I remember standing, I think we're getting fairy floss or like a hot dog or some kind of snack because, you know, I was hungry as I always was as a kid. I mean,
what is the story leading us to?
well, I was standing with my mum, and look, you know, as kids, we don't tend to have a filter, and we're curious about things. I mean, obviously, I know the answer to this now, but I tugged on my mum's shirt. I said, "Mum, why is that woman so black?" And Mum just she froze. She didn't know how to react, and so needless to say, she silenced me as quickly as possible, and we had a conversation about that later. But you know, I mean, you know, it's funny because some people are like, "Oh, that kid's racist," but you know, I'm the furthest from racist you can imagine. To anyone that knows me, particularly these days, you'll know what I'm all about. So I'm not so concerned about that particular story coming out. But yeah, that was pretty awkward for my mum. Poor thing.
So I guess you want to ask what's my most awkward story?
I would love to hear what your most awkward story is. Absolutely.
Okay, it's kind of along the line.
Was it where you pooped in the bathtub?
What?
Just kidding.
I didn't even hear that question properly. It's along a similar line. So, some of you may know, some of you may not know. I speak Mandarin and Cantonese. And where I grew up, which is in Taiwan, not many people actually speaks Cantonese. So that used to be like the little secret thing that me and my mum would speak if we want to talk about somebody in front of them, but them not knowing what I'm saying. So when I first got to New Zealand, by the way, New Zealand is similar to Australia, so a lot of the shop people or even no, not Asian, Chinese people, they're bilingual. They can speak Cantonese and Mandarin. And I think I was about 12 back then. I didn't have that filter on. I was like, well, okay, it's a Asian person. He probably talk about being racist, right?
So you're racist. You're racist Asian, you.
No. He probably speaks Mandarin anyway. So it's one of those food courts that sells muffins. And if you've seen muffins in New Zealand, they're pretty ginormous. And so what this guy did was, there's a muffin, he cut the tops open, and he had some margarines. He's like, would you like some margarines? I'm like, oh, yeah. And he put the biggest slop of margarines onto the muffin. And what I said to my mum in Cantonese back then was, oh, my God, that looks like a slob of poop. And so when my mum went and paid for it, the shop person spoke to my mum in Cantonese back, say thank you. So I heard that obviously, and I was just like, oh my shitty Lord. He understand what I just said. It was really my most embarrassing moment.
You thought you were clever, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought I was clever. I forgot that I'm actually in a different country where a lot more people speak my secret language.
But by the way, I just noticed that your audio is sort of dropping in and out a little bit, so maybe you might need to speak closer into the mic or like more directional. I mean,
There you go.
cool. Yeah, so that's a very interesting story. And look, this just shows that you, you should never underestimate anyone because you never know what they're capable of. You never know what they understand. Um, you might have a secret code for speaking, and those people might also speak that secret code and
Or
catch you
maybe
out on
my
something.
secret code just need to be a lot more secretive, like literally only me and my mum understand.
Yeah, I think that might be what needs to happen.
Not like the second most common Chinese dialect.
Nice one, Lala. Nice one. So tell me, what is the inspiration for this live cast, this Range Woman variety show that you're doing?
Range.
Range. Just put a ST on the front of it. Strange Woman.
It's okay. I'm happy being strange. I'm pretty strange anyway. Well, the Range Woman actually came out about when I was talking to my coach, Jana Kingsford. I think it's pretty early on in our session. She's like, you have a pretty wide range. And that's when we started exploring what range really means. And really what Jana meant back then was I was able to jump out of my corporate job and meetings and responsibilities and jump straight into a coaching session in the middle of a day. And it's a complete different sort of brainwave, mentality, and energy. And she's like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "I just do." And so as I slowly explore what range means to me and also exploring how I embody range, I realized that a lot of the women that I encounter, not just in the corporate world, thinks that they could only have the career or they could only be a mom or the best they could do is have a career and juggle their family, but it's always almost like a strain. It's always a thing that's really hard to do. So my inspiration is really creating a podcast that would inspire other women by listening to other people's story. Like a lot of my guests are just like you and me, but we decided that we are going to take on a little bit more than a normal person. Like my first guest that I'm going to interview, Wendy Jasper. She is an artist. She also has her own podcast. She's also a coach that coaches artists become abundant, not just, there's a saying where artists are meant to be broke.
Mm.
And, for me, I really hope by you guys listening to other people's story, not just my story, to really start to build a systematic evidence that if there's so many other women that could achieve their dreams and achieve so many things, then we can all do it. And I have this saying, we can all have everything that we want in this lifetime, just maybe not all at once. And I truly, truly, and absolutely believe that. Like 5 years ago, I would never imagine myself sitting here being a international speaker, published author, still have my career. My career is like, it's beyond my wildest imagination right now. And have this podcast, have amazing clients, have an amazing partner in my life, and just really living what I call dreams beyond dreams. And I really want to have more women to have the ability to have that, but also know that we all have it in us. And I want to be able to see more women in the corporate world. I'm not saying, "Oh, because there's not enough female representation, so we're gonna put more women on." It's we all have the ability. It's because we have the ability that we get to I'm not even gonna say break through the glass ceiling. To me, it's going through the glass ceiling without feeling like we're pushing shit uphill. It doesn't have to be like that, and that is really what inspires me to have this podcast.
Yeah, I love that. No, I really appreciate that answer. And I think it's actually, for me, I know that my lived experience as a guy is different to that as a girl, but For example, Denise Coates of Beat Bet 365, she's the highest annually earning CEO in the world. She earns more, almost triple what Tim Cook from Apple makes. And the youngest billionaire in Australia, who's also self-made, she is actually the founder of a company whose software you actually use, Lara, Canva. So, and I really think that, a lot of people sort of say, oh, it's going to be too hard to break the glass ceiling. But what if there wasn't a glass ceiling and you were looking up and seeing through what you thought was a glass ceiling, but it wasn't even there?
It's
You
just
thought it
a,
was just
it's
really
just
clean
a
up.
silhouette.
It's an illusion, and the only person that's putting the glass there is you, and that goes for both girls and guys, by the way, because a lot of guys sort of say, "Oh, I'll never get into this position, or I won't be able to do this." The only person putting glass in front of you is you, and I really believe that. And I know that there are some industries that are more male dominated and more female dominated, and like for example, it's really hard for guys to work their way up in the nursing industry, and other female-dominated industries. Just like it's a little bit tougher for girls to work their way up in a male-dominated industry. But the
Like
reality of it is,
construction.
like construction. But yet, look at you, and look at so many of your other amazing female colleagues, and I've met some of them myself personally, and and they're awesome chicks, and they know what they're doing, and they're very professional, and they've earned their stripes. It's like I kind of see the world like the military, but on a larger scale. You when you start out, yes, you're going to be, yelled at a little bit, and told that maybe you need to up your game. But as you actually grow through the company, grow through the organization, and earn your stripes, there's always going to be hate. There's always going to be people that think you don't deserve to be there, whether you're male or female. And that's across male and female dominated industries, even industries with parity in men and women. I just think that there's a lot of people that get caught up in the whole because of what's between my legs, it's going to somehow hold me back. Well, it's going to hold you back if you let it hold you back. And that's a message that I always share with people. And I just wanted to share that with the listeners today because, I tell you what, there's some girls in the security, I work as a security guard. And there's some girls in the security industry that deserve to be there a lot more than some of the guys. But then again, there's some girls that don't really deserve to be there because they're lazy and they don't do their job and they just want to take the easy tasks. And you've got to think about the good. And I think that people who are prepared to do that are always going to come out on top no matter what. What's your thoughts?
I agree, but at the same time, I think there's this saying more in a woo-woo world that sometimes when you have set your intention, it's so important. The next step after setting intention is to actually have no tension. Meaning when you set your goal and it's coming from a needy energy, right? I think if I go back 10 years ago and say to myself, I have to be a design manager in the construction industry and I have to do this and have to do that, I wouldn't have got to where I've got to so quickly. And
Yeah.
instead for me, it's having that dream, and not having the tension and not having the need. It's like I am so grateful that I've got to where I am. But does it mean I'm going to be bitter or does it mean I'm going to hate life if I don't get it? No.
Mm.
And I think if you can treat every opportunity as a gift and be grateful about it and not really feeling like you need to be at a certain place at a certain time in your life, it's gonna be a lot easier.
Yeah, that's a really good message, actually. And I know, for example, from personal experience in the past, when I've applied for a job and I've been really stressed about it, quite often I don't get it. And then when I do apply for a job and I don't really sort of care about it too much, so I don't put too much weight on it, I end up getting the job. And I think that it's really healthy to have a balance of both, through the intention to get it and the desire to get it, but not really where that stress and that tension comes from is coming from a place of need and a place of scarcity. So if you think that if I don't get this job, I'm in big trouble, well, then you're probably gonna be in big trouble when you don't get it, which you're not going to because you're too needy. And that's the same with relationships. If you are too needy in relationships, you're not gonna get them either.
Well, I think, like, as human beings, and this It's really interesting, right? So even during our day-to-day conversations, Scott and I will quite often have like a masculine energy and feminine energy type conversation. And for me, it's like we're all energetic beings, whether you are a male or a female or unidentified in terms of your sexual tendency or direction or whatever you call it. Um, we all can sense other people's energy.
Male or female?
Human beings.
Okay.
And I do believe that when you have a desperate energy, when you are in the energy of lack, when you're in the energy of neediness, people can sense it. Right? How often do you get a salesperson that comes to you that really want to achieve their sales? You can smell them from miles away.
Especially if they haven't showered.
Energetically. Next question, please.
All right. So, I guess I really wanted to understand what the inspiration was behind this podcast.
Haven't I answered that question already?
Maybe I don't feel like you don't feel like you answered that the way that I was expecting. Maybe that's why I didn't register.
Do you want to try and rephrase your question?
I guess what I was wanting to find out was, what was the defining moment that made you say, "I'm going to start a podcast"?
There we go. That's a much better question.
And hopefully, I get a much better answer than last time.
Well, ka-ching! Have you got a button for that?
Probably.
For me, a lot of inspiration come from what I call downloads, and they are literally like this snippet of moment in time where you just go, "Maybe I should do that." And for those of you who's been following me for a while, you would know this is not my first podcast. My first podcast was basically based around the construction industry, and I really wanted to have materials that inspires people who works in construction, and I still have that vision to reduce suicide rate in construction. But there was a bit of flop because halfway through it, I kind of lost direction. I was like, "I'm not sure if this is what I wanna do." I stopped. And so when I had this idea of running this podcast, I should run it past my coach, and this is why it's so important to have a coach. Like, I was talking to another coach friend of mine, we're like, "This is why everybody needs a coach."
Everybody.
Because I was in a moment of doubt, and I spoke to Jana, I said, "I don't know. I had a podcast before. It was a flop. Maybe podcast isn't my thing." She's like, "Well, but back then, we're doing The Womanly Way, which is my new business venture." And she also said, "And back then, you didn't have me." She's confident, isn't she?
She
And
is.
that's why she's my coach. And so with a little bit of download, with a bit of a gentle push from my coach, and also understanding that I know that The Womanly Way is really my brand now, even though it was born out of a dream. I woke up one day and was like, "I have to write this thing down on my big sticky pad." And if you've been coached by me, you'll know the magic of the big sticky pads.
They're a big sticky pad.
They're like,
I've seen
you know
those
those
sticky
flip chart paper you get in presentations? They're like
Post-it
that.
notes.
Post-it notes, but they're
It's
like
like an
flip chart
enormous
paper. But they're flip chart paper.
flip chart paper.
Yes.
Flip chart.
So I stick them on our storage cupboard in our hallway. And The Womanly Way was born, and this is probably the most congruent and most me that I've felt in all of my business ventures. And I know if I am passionate about this, and I know if I could do 30 days of 30 podcasts, and if I can get enough momentum behind this, it'll be my thing. And I already know it's my thing. Like, we're not even at our first interview yet, and I've already got 18 women lined up. So I'm super excited, and I know this is me. And this is just the way that I operate. It's not through logic. It's not through what are the box ticking things I must do for a mentoring business that starts on year one. It's not even about, I just want to impress my audience. It's something heartfelt that was downloaded to me, and I just follow my guidance.
Nice one.
Did it answer your question then?
That answered my question. And then some. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad I asked.
So, you obviously you started your business Winning the Womanly Way, and that's, a big part of your branding. And you said that originally that you wanted to help with the suicide rates in construction. Now, for those people who know what suicide rates are in construction, it's primarily male. There are not many female, if any, outstanding.
There's not enough females in construction, full stop.
No, but I mean, like, in terms of suicide rates, I don't think I've ever read of anywhere in construction.
I'm happy to have this discussion, but if you think about it, female representation, depending on whether you're on site or in the office, is between 9 to 13%.
That wasn't where I was going. Anyway, I was just curious to see if there were any women that were represented in the suicide rates in construction, because I wasn't sure. I just know that the suicide rates are quite high in the construction industry.
So in construction, suicide rates about 260 people per year commit suicide in construction. It's 6 times more than death rates by accidents on site. And the reason that I wanted to bring up the statistic in terms of how many women are in the industry is because even if it's the same percentage of population, so if we take the 9% women in construction compared to the 91% men in construction, even if women are accounted for in terms of suicide rate, right? We're talking about, so in construction forms 1 million people, and I'm pretty sure that million figure is only construction workers on site.
Mm-hmm.
And if we then take my experience on site and looking at trades, they're on site, I would say it's probably less than 9%.
Okay.
So I guess my answer is I don't know how many women are killed in construction through suicide, but even if there is, from an outsider's perspective, it's probably like, oh, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
But there's not enough women in construction, full stop.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So I guess I'll go back on the direction that I was going. I sort of went a little bit off tangent there. But I mean, I know that men, I guess, with respect to the suicide figures, are overrepresented in terms of gross numbers in the construction industry. And I know that initially you wanted to help them. That was kind of like your target audience in the beginning. And I know your intention is always to care for them, because some of them have even been your colleagues. But what was it? Like, why do you think you actually ended up attracting more female clients than men, even though men was your, I guess, initial target market for helping them?
I had a few theories.
Yeah.
Being a woman in construction, automatically, I think a lot of women wanted to find mentors and wanted to find guidance in that sense, because I had female mentors too. But the other thing is also, and Scott, I'm happy to have the discussion in public as well. I've asked some of my colleagues, I'm like, what do you think it is that it's really hard for a female person to attract male clients in our industry? And like, even with my own team, the guys will not come to me for guidance, right? They will go to the direct manager, but they barely come to me for guidance, even though sometimes I know they're suffering. I know they've got problems at home. I know they've got things that just need to talk to somebody, but they wouldn't come to me, right? So I think sometimes for a guy, it's a bit awkward to talk about your feelings and emotions with a female. or to
Yeah,
even talk about your struggles. And it's still a little bit more comfortable to talk to another guy.
yeah,
It's almost like as a female, maybe I don't quite speak your lingo, or there's a perception that I probably wouldn't understand, or it's just not comfortable, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, look, I think that you're probably on the money with with most of what you said there. Just from a guy's perspective, to add to that, um, look, I think a lot of the time, anyone who's studied the sort of knows all the statistics and what one of the biggest, uh, I guess, catalysts of male suicide across the board is actually relationship breakdown. And for anyone who knows about anchors, if you've ever heard of Pavlov's dog, where you ring the bell and the dogs come running for food because they associate that with food, because previously every time you rang the bell, when the food was there, they now associate the bell and the food. Um, Typically speaking, and I speak from experience here as a guy, there's been so many times where I've spoken to a female partner about my feelings in the relationship, and that has actually ended up having them walk away or run away in some cases, metaphorically speaking. Sometimes, maybe literally, I don't know, I didn't see how they were walking. But, when you, as a guy, lose a relationship enough times as a result of expressing your feelings, you'll still express your feelings, but you just won't tend to express them towards the person that has the ability to cause the most hurt to you, even if that's not their intention. Um, and I often hear people, especially sociologists and psychologists, and a lot of quote unquote mental health professionals, who really have been very misguided in many ways. And I'm sure they'll disagree with me if they've done some sort of degree and they're watching this podcast right now. But you're probably not a male, and if you are, then uh, I think you probably agree with some of what I say. But if you're not male, then I would say I'm probably a bit more qualified to speak on why it is that guys don't tend to open up to women in the same way that they'll open up to their fellow man. And look, it sucks that unfortunately that does translate into the workplace, because we've when it's only women that are rejecting us when we talk about our feelings. And look, sometimes that's not the case. I know, Lala, you're amazing, and you are very sensitive to people who hurt. And when they talk about their feelings, you don't dismiss it. But unfortunately, there are too many ladies out there that will dismiss a guy's feelings, and that is part of the reason why guys don't tend to turn to their girlfriends or their female friends or even their relationship partners for advice on how to deal with their feelings. And yeah, look, it's sad that that's the way it is, but that's just been my experience, the experience of so many other guys that I know and I've spoken to. So maybe that's what's behind that particular phenomenon in your industry, and behind what you're witnessing.
I really like your logical point of view, and it's interesting to hear that. And I think, part of what I'm doing with the Womanly Way and with Range Woman is really to show female, I think, when you can really truly understand how to show love to yourself.
Just talk towards your mic a little bit more, just fading out.
No, I lost my train of thought.
When you show love to yourself.
When you show love to yourself, you can really authentically and genuinely and compassionately show love to others. But like, even for me, looking at this whole thing with my business, again, from a more energetic and feminine perspective, I truly, truly believe in trusting what the signs the universe are throwing at us. Right? For me, it was like I have a desire to help men, and with that desire, I wrote a book. But for some reason, all of my clients are female. So far, out of my entire career of mentoring and coaching women or coaching people, I've only had 2 guys come to me. And I genuinely enjoy mentoring women a lot more as well. Not because I'm biased, not because I don't like men.
Totally.
Obviously not. I work with men day in, day out. But it's just my calling. You know, I don't judge it. I don't discount any of the things I do previously. And for me, I think if you want to talk about one of my strengths is that I listen to my guidance and I trust it.
Mm.
And I don't doubt it. I don't question whatever happened previously. I just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
I think that's the magic of being a range woman as well, to know that they are guidance, they are support. And it is a bit woo-woo, it is a bit witchy-witch. But that's what feminine energy is all about. It's not yesterday I did a live on Facebook and I talked about how really for guys, it's about that ego. I was sitting in a meeting room yesterday and I sat back and watched the guys. It's like, I have to show that I am good at this. I'm not gonna use the body part, but my body part is on the line because we're all trying to win work, right? It's like, I need to show my manager I am the biggest, the baddest, the best. And it's like you look at the animal kingdom, it's a male's job to go, "I'm the king of the jungle," or "I am the lion king," because when you're the lion king, you get to lead the tribe.
George of the jungle.
Maybe not George. But you know
Scott.
what I mean? It's like, for guys, it's their job to go out there and get things, right? I think that's part of what's sexy about a guy who go and get the things that they want. Go and get the girl, go and get the job, go and get whatever you desire. But for a female, I think it's so unattractive sometimes when we become ball breakers, you just go get the things.
Yeah.
And for me, even as a female, it's far sexier for somebody to sit there and they may not talk a lot. Like, I don't talk a lot in boardroom situations. I listen. But when I do talk, people listen, right? It's because it's not from, I wanna show off, I wanna compete with the guys. I genuinely come from a place of love and compassion, and that's what I'm about. I'm about caring for my team. I'm about offering a different perspective. And to me, it's about my connection to the universe, to God, whatever you wanna call it, but it's about my connection to up there.
Mm. Yeah, totally. No, I love that. And, you know, and personally, I think, at least from what I know, the reason why people listen when you speak is because they respect you, and you've really earned that respect, and you've earned it through hard work, and you've earned it through caring about other people, and earned it through careful consideration of how things are going to impact others. And, you know, whether on a conscious or subconscious level, people actually realize that.
You know, you could be a bit biased, but thank you. Well, what I'm gonna say is, like, when I first started in the industry, I used to be told, so obviously when we go to site, we wear steel cap boots, right? And I used to get told by old school guys, and they would say to me, "Angela, you need to put your steel cap boots on and just kick some butts." And intuitively, I'm just like, "I know that's not the right thing to do," because this is my theory. Every guy I meet on site, they will either have a mum, a sister, a partner, a girlfriend, or a wife. Why would they want to come to work and be treated just like how they're treated at home?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying all females are bossy and will kick your balls or, like, you know, but oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. But, like, for me, I think everybody appreciates being nurtured. Everybody
Absolutely.
appreciates a different perspective. Like, even between guys, you wouldn't appreciate a boss that just keep telling you off, would you?
No.
Not to mention a short Asian female who perhaps isn't as senior as you telling you what to do.
Especially if she's got an attitude.
I have an attitude. You gotta watch out.
I'm not scared of you.
You're just like my arms not long enough to reach over and
Your legs aren't long enough to keep me either. Oh my goodness, that old chestnut.
So I really hope you guys get a juice of what it's like in our lounge room.
The juice?
Juice. Orange juice.
Mandarin juice?
I never had
You
mandarin.
speak it.
Don't pretend to be Asian lah.
Don't know what you mean.
And really, I was like, well, I could either do a solo cast and just talk about what Range Woman is all about, or we can have a bit of a surprise and allow me to share my other part of me who's sitting on the other side of this living room and just really allow you guys to have a window into our life.
You are whole and I am whole.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're not my half. Sorry, my other whole.
So does that mean you have 4?
I'm not even gonna try and use that whole any deeper.
Don't.
Well, like I said, you are my partner in crime.
Yeah.
And partner in life.
Mischief.
How is that?
Yeah. Partner in mischief.
Oh, shall we wrap it up, Mr. Scott?
Yes. Let's wrap it up. I was going to quote Van Wilder, then I'm going to leave that for another day. So, yes, let's do that.
I'm going to quote. By the way, I do have a really bad amount of curiosity. And I just have the sense of feeling I may not want to know, but I kind of want to know.
Don't be a fool. Wrap your soul.
Okay.
Wrap it up. Even though.
Go on.
No, that's it. It literally says, don't be a fool, wrap your soul. And I said, so you can wrap it up. And then I was like, but I won't. So
actually, I'm going to end this podcast or this live cast with a family joke. And I'm really going to share this with you because you will understand our dynamic so much more and you will understand the thing that I'm about to do. So there is a saying, I think in English, when somebody tells a bad joke, it's either a dad joke or it's a dry joke. But in Taiwan, where I come from, when somebody tells a dry joke, we call it a code joke.
Code or a cold?
Cold joke. It's the same to me. Come on, I'm Asian.
Cold means like a programmer.
No, cold is like cold. Yeah. So in our household, whenever somebody tells a dry joke, we go. On that note, I really want to thank you all. Thank you, Scott, for jumping on so impromptuly because literally we were picking up dinner and I'm like, how do you feel if you actually interview me on my first episode? Seriously? And we just thought it would be something fun, like seriously, for the two of us, whatever we do, like Scott's got his own podcast as well. Whatever we do is coming from a place of fun because if we're not doing it for fun, we might as well not do it, right? Life is not worth doing the things that's not going to give us joy. So really, we hope this podcast is bringing some joy, some fun, some unexpectedness, and you get to see a different side of me, even what happens when, somebody says something unexpectedly and I had to go,
What happened?
So thank you for watching or listening. If you're listening to the podcast, if you're watching it live, thank you so much for your support. We really, really deeply appreciate it. And please follow us. Please follow me on Facebook, which is Angela Wang, The Womanly Way. Same thing on YouTube, Angela Wang, The Womanly Way. Or if you prefer to listen to the podcast, it's on all major platforms. Range Woman Variety Show. I look
And
forward.
if you want to hear more of me, you can check out Unapologetic Aussie on any of the major podcast platforms.
There you go. And now I can't remember what I was about to say. Oh, yes. First proper interview is coming up on this Friday, Australian Daylight Saving Time, Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. At 8 a.m. Bright and Shine. It's also 6 a.m. Yep, 6 a.m. this Friday, 30th.
Bright and early.
Bright and early, Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Saving Time. Or if you're in New Zealand, that will be 8 a.m. Friday. And I will be viewing my very good friend, Wendy Jesper, the amazing artist, abundant artist. I can't wait. There's a fantastic lineup. I'm even going to interview my very good friend of, 20 years, more than 20 years, Susan Chen, all the way in Singapore, who's just had a cutest baby a few months ago, and I can't wait to interview her because she's one of my favorite. And of course, I'm very biased. Thank you once again, Scott. Thank you so much. And if you like Scott's quirkiness, check him out on Unapologetic Aussie.
I will not apologize.
That's just how he is. Have a lovely, lovely night. Thank you so much once again for watching, for listening. I will see you or chat to you, talk to you in whatever way you desire very soon. Bye.